the other day. I love how it's like the TikTok, Snapchat generation. So everybody's, you know, attention span's getting shorter, except for like podcasts are getting longer and movies are getting longer. Like every damn movie I go see is like 2.5 hours. Like even if it's a comedy, like comedy's like 2 hours, 15 minutes now. Like, no, 90 minutes, boom, done. Like,
Yeah, we watched some movie the other day. I can't even remember what it is now because we're in the mode talking about it, but it's like the pace was not good. Like there was like 15 or 20 minutes of that movie that could have, oh, the Batman. The Batman. That movie.
I disagree with that because I was about to say the only movie that's come out the last like several years that I thought was fine with being that length, like was the Batman. Like because I can't remember the last time I sat still for 3 hours. Like I did not move.
Like those couple of scenes when he's like driving on like the motorcycle or at both like towards the end or at almost the very end with him and Catwoman on the motorcycle, and then also like when he's like tailing her and stuff, and then like any scene where they were driving, except for the big chase scene with the Batmobile itself and the fire and all that stuff, all the other ones too long. You should have cut those to be.
See, I like the cinematography of those scenes. I thought
Oh,
like
cinematography is why it takes so damn long because they just like
right.
shoot random shit. It's like those extra long Lord of the Rings cuts where they're like 3 hours long.
But see, like I can't deal with those. But like for some reason, the
Running
Batman
through the woods again. Oh,
did you see this? Did you see the Snyder cut of Justice League?
no.
4 hours long.
So,
4 fucking hours long. And I've watched it 3 times.
oh
Like,
man, you've watched it 3 times. That's so long.
uh, if you cut out all the slow motion, it'd be 2.5 hours. Like it's like so many things are like because it's very Snyder. Like everything's in slow motion.
Man. Oh, speaking of, so not Snyder, but Snyder like the Flash
Keaton.
did. I mean, I knew it already. I knew it was going to be in there because it already been announced that he was going to
Right.
be Batman, or he's going to return to play the Batman. But what more excited me was, are they've managed to pull Christian Bale back in to do a Batman?
That would be
That,
pretty cool because they've got Keaton, they've got Affleck. Like if you could,
that
yeah.
Bale on the cycle, like the motor, like the two-wheel motorcycle, which is very similar to the one that was in Dark Knight, was that
Hmm.
which didn't show his face. That would be like the surprise,
Right.
like and I feel like DC would do that because it would be like the Spider-Man.
Yeah, this Spider-Man stuff was great. Like I loved that because it's one of those like I'm pretty sure they're going to, but like I made sure I saw it like opening day, so it wasn't spoiled. Yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah. So that I think that's gonna be really fun. And also it makes total sense as to why um they're still going through with it because they can use it as the jump off point to basically reset
Yeah,
everything.
because they're going to do Flashpoint, and so yeah, it's easy way to retcon whatever you want to do. Just like boom.
Oh, did you see that? Like, what's his name? Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, and somebody else are all suing Warner Brothers. Did you see that?
No.
So apparently, they're all suing them for lost wages because of their contracts to do those movies. They didn't do other movies. They turned down other projects. And
Makes sense. Like, cause yeah, you're expecting to be building a franchise as Superman or Wonder Woman. Like,
right. So they're like, I don't know how they're going to figure out. I'm sure it'll be like a settlement somewhere, and they'll just like give them, oh, here's a few $1 million because we have a few $1 million to throw away. But um, it is an intriguing kind of thing. Like we signed this contract, you just turned it off. It was supposed to give us X millions of dollars off that contract, and we negated all of the other ones that we would have made because we were supposed to be doing this one.
and they've got a point. It's always hard to feel bad for millionaires, but they've got a point.
Yeah, yeah. You know, we could talk about the Running Man. That'd be great. Fun puns with Arnold.
um,
Arnold.
um,
Uh, but man, yeah, I was looking at that the other day. Like I saw a thing about like diet breaks and stuff, and I was like, this would be good thing to discuss.
and like, there's so much like conflicting and like anything, like conflicting and misinformation out there with it.
Yeah, and the math is the hard part, really trying to get people onto that. But speaking of math, so um, I like to pair my breaks also in the workouts, like a deload. Which is why I thought I was like, oh, these things too, they go well together because it's what I do normally. Get a little bit more calories in, take a break, give my body a break. Um, Not from necessarily the intensity of a workout, just the volume.
Yeah, and there's something like yeah, it depends. Like I change mine up a little bit depending. The main thing for me that's the most difficult about deload is the mental aspect of it, of knowing that I'm not doing what I can actually do, but knowing that it's beneficial that I'm doing it.
Purposefully doing less is difficult. And I think it's be hard for anybody. Um, but how often do you do a deload?
Depends on like what program I'm running. So like I usually either run like a 4, 6, or 8 week program. So I'll run the program, then do a deload week after it. Sometimes a rest week after that if I can talk myself into it. That's again mentally it's difficult, and then get back to another program. So for instance, I'm fourth week of a 6 week program now. So finishing up the last 3 weeks of that, and then I'll do a deload week and then start another program.
Okay. Um, I'm not sure how often I was doing deload weeks when I was working out consistently. Probably not often enough, to be honest. It's probably why I
Yeah,
haven't.
and that was always what I used to run into, and to the point of almost like experiencing training burnout because I would go, okay, how long has it been since I've had a deloaded rest week? And I'd go back and look through my journaling, and I'm like, oh God, I've been lifting for like 20 straight weeks. Like I need to like, if nothing else, give my joints and stuff a break, you know?
Yeah. And that really goes into some other things too. I know we talked about it before on a previous podcast with the acronyms like the CNS stuff, like getting your central nervous system to break of things. And also, I was reading a study about deloads.
It's a good visual if you're watching it. Like have lemon water, and so I just had a seed in my mouth. So you just watch me picking out a seed on a podcast.
Um, but in the study, it had it was with people lifting maximal effort weights. So they were doing it was a calculated 1 rep max, but they were all well trained men, and I want to say the study said they were doing 3 rep sets, and with I can't remember the name of the machine. It was leg press, right? So I know it was leg press. Kaiser, that one. Those machines. They are compressed air machines. Like you can dial it up like decimal pounds weight. So they were doing 3 reps to a max effort, and um, they then did they ran a program for it was 3 or 4 weeks. Then took a deload, and then did it again 3 or 4 weeks, and then recalculated their total. Um, Same group was their own control, and they did it 8 weeks in a row, and then compare. So they had the breaks, and they compared the two. When they had the break, the deload week, it was not clinically significant, but statistically significant that their weight increased. So, for people out there listening to this, kind of what that means is that um, having a deload week doesn't necessarily increase your strength. It will a small amount, but it's not going to be so much that you're going to see like a new PR come out of it. Um, but what was also particular about the study was they also tested um, like the um, I don't even know how they like I didn't understand like it's like some biomechanic piece that I'm not quite aware of how it works, but it was like the um it was like MRI, and it was like neuro connectivity, so like electrolysis, like not electrolysis, but like the electrical effect in the muscles was greater in the week with the deload. that goes to the central nervous system thing. So that's is what hypothesized in the discussion was talking about. Like maybe that's why it was statistically significant greater, not clinically significant, which is a different level of significance. It's like a big jump in a study if you don't know how to read studies. But um, either way, that was hypothesized. Like maybe the break is and giving the central nervous system time off. So I will say this, anecdotally speaking, my joints feel way better if I take a deload week.
Oh, absolutely, man. Same way. Like, and you talked about so you do your day deloads, or when you cut the volume, you're just cutting the number of sets that you're doing. Like, how do you do yours typically?
I cut the um, I cut the weight by 50%.
Yeah, I'll do that, or like, yeah, I do. If I don't want to cut quite that much, I'll do 50% of my one rep max for that particular lift, and lift that, same amount of reps that I would for, 85% of my one rep max. And that to me is what's mentally difficult, is going, okay, I know I'm able to lift much heavier than this, but I'm still going to stop at 10 repetitions, even though I know I could lift it for 25.
It's essentially suddenly I'm doing my warm up weights for the
Right.
entire workout. Um, but I do think, you know, I think it helps out a lot. And like this one study I cited there suggests that it helps. But overall, in the long run, thinking about yourself and protecting yourself as much as you can, it's going to help you get greater gains. So um, every little thing is going to help you out. And we also talked about, I was talking with another person as exercise phys about this, like deloads, stuff like that. And um, he mentioned that what he likes to do on deloads is he decreases the weight and increases his flexibility training. Like on the deload week, he's like, you can stretch out a little bit more because you're not going to spend as much time because you don't have to change all the plates. And he like does like competitive powerlifting, so he's like way higher reps or weight than I ever do, but you're not spending as much time changing out the plates and the weights and things like that. And so that's gonna give you an extra time in your workout. And so you just like you already have that pre-programmed in your day. You're gonna go back to it eventually. Just switch it off to something else that's not like a weight bearing exercise. So he just does like more stretching and stuff like that to add
Makes
it.
sense. I like that, because I think if most people are like me, that's an area that I neglect too much. Like, I stretch, definitely don't stretch as much as I should. I feel so much better when I do. Performance is so much better. But I think, like, most people, guys especially, like, we're like, hey, let's go lift. And if I have to, cardio, and then I'll stretch at some point.
Yeah. I read a thing a long time ago that most people, I want to say it was, um, he has like the NT loops, Nick Tummello. I'm probably mispronouncing his last name, but he said uh, most people in their 20s should train like they're in their 40s. So that way, when they get to their 40s, they can train like they're in their 20s.
Valid. I like that.
And I will say, as I get closer and closer to 40, I do not feel like my body could go do all the things that I did in my 20s in the
And
same
like,
way.
and training that way is so much more beneficial too, because like when you're 20s, you're ego lifting and just trying to push up as much weight. And now that, like, I've got proper form and like, yeah, it's you see better gains at 36 than I did at 22.
Yeah, it is crazy. Uh, but thinking about all of it, I mean, I still have fun every time I go out there and do everything. But if I had programmed more deloads previously, I probably wouldn't have some of the chronic injury issues that I have.
Definitely.
Gonna just put the weight down. It's okay.
Yeah, yeah, I don't think there was a single deload for week for me in college at all. Like,
The amount of chronic stress and I was things like So this is random, but things that decrease your metabolism, chronic stress is one of the top things that causes it. So chronic stress could also include never taking a break from the gym.
Right.
So, like, that's definitely something you want to be mindful of. But yeah, I think it's all I got about planning out deloads. It's just
Yeah,
kind
I think between last week and this week, the main takeaway is like taking a break from stuff's good.
yeah, help yourself. So either way, like we say every week, maximize every bite.
Maximize every rep.